Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fortress Comic News, episode 273. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my awesome co-host, Mike. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up? What's up? Just chilling. I was the only one who hasn't seen Thor this weekend, so and I know you'll talk about that in a little bit. We have a returning guest. If anybody was listening 2 to 3 years ago, Zach Kaplan is back, and yeah, he's only doing a few books. No, he's he's a busy guy. We're gonna talk to him about his books at Scout. His new book, Forever Forward, really good first issue. Chris and I checked it out. I'm a huge sci-fi and time travel nerd, so I geek out a little bit there. And Chris is like, you could tell I wanted to talk. I was just itching to talk about it. So, and it was cool to chat with him, and anything going on with you? I know you bought that new figure, the new Batman Beyond figure. Pretty sick.
A real quick, Kaplan, like one of my favorite sci-fi writers out there right now. So everybody check out his work. But I got that. So first of all, because I kept forgetting to say it's the beginning of the show, but this will be the last time I mention it. New merch is up on the TeePublic store.
New merch!
You can go to fortresscomicnews.com. There's a link right there, or type in fortresscomicnews.com/TeePublic, and it pops up.
Yep.
Some good new merch. I'm really excited for it. I got mine coming, and everybody should check it out. And then another quick thing, now that it's public, because we've been holding this kind of secret for a while, but 2 alum from the show just got signed to publishers. Mm-hmm. Travis has announced what books. I won't spoil that, but Travis Gibbs is going to be working with Scout Comics here soon, talking about Scout Comics.
Congrats, Travis.
Kevin Delgado, local boy too, is going to be working with Source Point for Tough Stuff.
Oh, good for him, man. Okay, talk about Travis for a minute. Such a cool dude. I'm sad I missed the interview with him. But he has just built such a huge community. I mean, the indie comics community was there, but people gravitate towards him. Just a really good dude. I mean, he has such a huge following on Kickstarter. I mean, he's almost like a publisher himself with how many people he has following him. So good for him, dude, going to Scout. And then Kevin, another great dude. So
Kevin's a great dude too. I was recently talking to him about Terrificon, because he's going to be up there as well, and he was trying to figure out his plans for it and everything. But Travis is such a genuinely good dude.
He really is.
Like he knew about some of the stuff going on around my personal life recently, and even took time to text me and was like, how you holding up? How you doing? I'm like, he's one of 3 people in my life that actually does that. So no one deserves it more than that, man. So I'm really happy for him. And
super happy for him. Man, that's awesome. Yeah. And I love when these amazing writers that I don't want to say a small group of people know them, but now obviously it's going to get, because there's people that are buying Scout books that don't go to Kickstarter, right? Or buying Source Point that don't go to Kickstarter. So
and I've talked to Charlie about that in the past. Charlie Stickney, one of the co-publishers at Scout, where no offense to Kickstarter or anyone on Kickstarter, we both love Kickstarter books, but good Kickstarter gets 1,000 books, or 1,000 backers, I should say, and publisher sells a book for 1,000 issues or 1,000, single issues, and they're a failure. You're getting much bigger spread of people when you do it this way. So
good for them. So let's we got some stuff to talk about. I just watched the Boys finale a couple hours ago. Did not see any of those things happening really for this episode. I mean, so I just keep saying this about this season of The Boys. The character arcs for everybody. A lot of the times when you have these shows, you have so many characters that you're like Stranger Things is probably my biggest example of this. They have so many different groups of characters, and I'm like, okay, we get to this group of characters, I could give a shit. Let's get back to Max and what's going on with her. Like everybody else, it's like whatever. But the boys, I mean, even the villains, the villains, the heroes, the people in between, everything is so good. Like the Mother's Milk, MM's storyline, with his daughter, that relationship, even the Huey and the what's her name, the Starlight, yeah, Starlight, like their relationship and how he like finally in this episode he's just like, you know what, maybe I will let her do her own thing and stop trying to save her, and she is strong enough to save herself from Soldier Boy. So like just those little moments, and then we find out Butcher's got like is pretty messed up now and has like a year to 18 months to live,
which means next season is going to be crazy.
Yeah, well, we'll see, because it doesn't really mean much for a TV show depending on how slow they go with the timeline, right? If like the next season is 10 episodes that happen across 3 days, it's like Butcher will be fine.
But yeah, my just thought is if you're Butcher and you're told you have a year left to live, and your sole purpose on this earth at this current moment is to kill Homelander.
Yeah.
You don't think you're going to do everything humanly possible to kill Homelander as soon as possible?
Yeah.
Because I know that's what would be going through my head if I was in Butcher's head.
And now you have the whole weight of his wife's son, almost like a shield in between them. So like you have the more weight of like, okay, Butcher can't just kill Homelander. We might see Soldier Boy next season, I guess, because they put him back in a chamber. I don't... Like, if we weren't going to see him next season, you would have killed him, right?
Correct. Or I think he comes back.
Yeah. And maybe that's the way, like, Jensen Ackles had to take a break, and they're like, okay, well, we'll put you on ice till you're ready, buddy. Like, you let us know. You come back and whatever you want. Because, dude, his character was awesome. The interaction where Homelander's like, you're my dad. He's like, you're a pussy. That was amazing. He's like, I wish I raised you because you're a pussy. He's like, oh my god.
He's so brutal. He's throughout this, because I watched the last 2 episodes right in a row.
Oh, okay.
And he commands the stage, or the screen
right.
at the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whenever he's on screen, it's just like he's the one that you're focused on, and he demands all the attention.
Yep.
And I love that last fight scene too. I thought it was kind of cool how everything went down.
It's being a great alive season. Was good. Yeah,
the whole season's amazing. Like it's some of the best things on TV. Even through all of the like, because I've seen this thrown about a little bit where people are like, oh, it's just shock for shock's sake, and it's like, yeah, that's the point of the boys,
right?
But at the core of all of it are great characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
exactly.
It, especially in the last 3 episodes, they really dug deep into like these characters, and they found a way to like make Butcher sympathetic again.
And I think what I want to see though, maybe I mean we keep saying this every new season coming up, Chris. This next season they're going after C-list villains or heroes. Like because they got the whole crew together. Let's like open up the next season with them just like taking out like 3 shitty villains in a row, or shitty heroes.
Oh, I want that G-Men sequence.
Yes,
that's what I want.
Yeah.
That's one of the best like 2 issues of the whole series, when they take out the X-Men, but the G-Men, and they go through that whole like what it is. And then I really hope next season too that they do the Iron Man story arc, which I can't remember the character's name.
My God. Not Sky Fox. I want to say Sky Fox, but I want to say Tech Knight, but it's not Tech Knight, is it?
It might be Tech Knight. It's something along those lines.
Yeah,
yeah. Like he's so fucked up that it'd just be so awesome for the show to do it.
Yeah. Man, it's such a great season. I'm still excited to watch it. I think, like I said, all the character development. And the only character I don't see, where they're gonna go is Frenchie. Like Frenchie is in a downward spiral, so I think that'll be probably where he's going in next season, like drug addiction or something like that. So, either way, all the characters are amazing. Oh, the scene at the end with the whole insurrectionists with the shaman, and the dude shows up with the Starlight shirt on. They're like, "You libtard." That was like, they've done that a few times this season where they're just like making fun of and they make fun of everybody too, like the whole protest thing and the crying videos for coronavirus and stuff. But then when Homelander like blows his head off, they all start cheering. I was like, oh my god.
That was the only part of the whole episode I really did enjoy. I thought that was a little cringe, but
yeah, I mean they're definitely very on the nose there.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't like my political satire to just be let's recreate a thing.
Yeah, right.
Or recreate a thing that somebody said, and like it's like a minor complaint in the whole episode, but. Yeah. I just kind of watched it. I was like, okay, next scene.
I really liked the making fun of the Pepsi commercial, though. The way they did that was good.
And, the Pepsi commercial? I got excited when they did that.
Yeah.
But I was also working for Pepsi when that whole thing went down.
Oh, yeah.
So like, that really hit me in a special place when that happened.
I forgot about that. So. Yeah, and then the whole crying FaceTime videos were so good. Like, all the famous people trapped in their mansions during coronavirus.
That one was funny. Like at first I was a little cringed on it, but when like Patton Oswalt showed up, I was like, oh, that's great.
Because he was zoinked. He was probably higher than a kite, smoked a blunt, and then did that video.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so cool.
They did a few other. There's just I don't know. There were some that didn't hit with me and some that did. Yeah. But it's 8-episode season. If every second of it isn't going to get with everything.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, if you would ask me, a Garth Ennis storyline was going to go over 3 seasons, I'd have been out of your fucking mind. But
and I can't remember if it happened this episode or last episode, but when Frenchie finally sits down and goes I can't believe I missed Herogasm.
Yeah.
That made me laugh really hard.
That was great.
The Herogasm episode, the entire time I was like, man, Frenchie's gonna hate they missed this, and then he finally sits down and goes, I can't believe I missed it.
Yep. That was pretty great. So really enjoyed it. If you're not watching The Boys, what the hell are you doing? You're still watching Miss Marvel, so let's hear about that. Miss Marvel episode 5.
Yeah, episode 5 was kind of a down note. So she went back in time, and it was honestly what it was a History Channel rendition of what happened between the split with Pakistan and India.
Oh, okay.
Because she goes back in time to that time period and does something, and then comes back and one thing happens real quick in that period. Her mom finds out that she's the superhero and all that. So all in all, it was a not great episode in my opinion, but
okay.
Still, I think it's got one more episode left. The way it ends, I'm confused who the big bad was because they kind of almost killed the person that I thought was the big bad. So I'll be interested to see where that goes. But all in all, still, as a whole, really good and worth watching. But just kind of a down episode.
Yeah. Movie news. Okay, so Cap America 4 as a director. The sequel featuring Anthony Mackie moving from the role of Falcon to Captain America was announced after the Disney Plus series Falcon and Winter Soldier was released. Will be directed by Julius Ona. Julius is a Nigerian director who recently directed both Cloverfield Paradox and The Girls in Trouble. I haven't watched either of those, but best of luck to him on this. There's a lot of weight rolling on this movie. I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, to go from obviously Cloverfield is part of the whole Cloverfield universe and stuff, but to have Captain the Russo brothers Captain America and you're picking up the mantle, good luck. I mean, he has a lot of things in place to help him out with Marvel, obviously, but we'll see. It's
yeah, and there's just this is the first time that they're like really replacing a top tier character.
Mm-hmm.
Actually second time technically because Thor, but this is the first time where it's like, nope, no more Steve. Now we got Falcon taking over the role. And that's going to be huge for fans, myself included, because, like I said, it's a first, and it's just a huge switch. And although we did see him in the TV show for like half an episode, there's just a lot of landmines to traverse, as happened with the comic as well when that came out. So I'll be keeping a close eye on this one. Really interested to see what they do with it, and looking forward to it because I did enjoy that run of Sam as Captain America, and the current run as Sam.
So you went and saw Thor. I mean, I don't know if you want to spoil it or just give your overall. I don't care either way. If you want to, I've heard some opinions from a lot of friends and people I know have seen it, and they kind of agree with what you said. So give us your spiel.
I'll give it an overall because it did just come out. You know, as this is launching, it's only been a week, but I think all in all, it's my least favorite of the current phase. At least in the movies. I haven't thought about where it places with TV shows and everything, and it's probably a bottom half Marvel movie for me. It tries to do too much. It tries to add too much of the funny, and the way they do the funny moments, like I don't want to like shit on Taika. Was it Taika
Waititi? Yeah,
because I like him and I think he's talented, but I think he's trying too hard to be James Gunn in this.
I see.
If that makes sense, where James like does an amazing job with Guardians of like mixing those moments in with these great action sequences and everything. Yeah. Because the comedy's good and there's good like jokes throughout it, and the action's good. With a small exception, because they do something that DC does a lot that really bothered me, which is to kind of CG the fight scenes. So the fight scenes actually reminded me of like Batman v Superman fight scenes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you remember when like Batman jumps through and it just turns CG and it's him fighting? Like that's what some of the fight scenes were, and I was like, that doesn't. I mean, you got to mix practical in there somewhere,
right?
Christian Bale's really great. He's like the brightest spot the whole movie.
Really? Okay, that's cool. That's good to know.
Yeah, they did Gore really well. And that's one of the things too. Like Gore's a real serious and dark character, and then when like Thor and Jane are like cracking jokes, and Gore's like, "I'm gonna basically genocide all the gods," and they're like cracking a joke. It's like this isn't like it's not working.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of where they left Thor at the end, although it could be interesting depending on where they take it. And the after credit scenes, we do get a new character. I don't know if I should spoil that or not. I don't think I should. And I'm really excited for that because it's a character I do enjoy. You can spoil it
for me after the recording because
I'll do that. I don't want to spoil it for other people though.
I would like to know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that whole thing. But yeah, all in all, it's kind of I say wait for Disney Plus, everyone. And I think that's the first time for a movie that I saw in theaters that I feel that way. Because I did also feel that way about the Eternals.
Yeah.
Actually, I take it's the worst of the Phase 4. Eternals is the worst of the Phase 4. Second worst.
I still haven't finished Eternals. I still haven't finished that movie. I don't know what it was. I think I got to the sex scene and I was like, what is happening? I think I turned it off. I was like, number one, I don't care about those characters. Number two, why are they having sex? Like, what is happening? And then someone died and I was supposed to care. I didn't know who it was.
It's a bummer too because it's such a great storyline for Thor. That I feel this way because I do love that storyline, and it was kind of cool in the credits. Like creative consultant Jason Aaron. Like that was fun to see. Yeah. So
that's unfortunate,
but we got League of Super Pets in a couple weeks. So
hell yeah. All right, we also have this interview with Mr. Zach Kaplan, and let's jump to that, and we'll see everybody on the other side.
And we're back on the other side.
Here we are, and you should be looking at all the awesome stuff that Zach's doing. So,
yes,
yeah,
Forever 4 is amazing. Really loving Breakout, and what was the Mindset, the one that just came out. Mindset was so cool.
He was the reason I went back to Comixology and pre-ordered on Comixology for Mindset just to support him. So check it out. Comic news: Marvel has announced a new limited series to expand the Black Panther corner of Marvel Universe. The series is called Wakanda. Is written by Stephanie Williams and Evan Narcissi. With art by Paco Medina and Natasha Bustos. That's cool because Black Panther's awesome, and we get glimpses of Wakanda, but I think Wakanda is interesting enough in itself with all the tribes and the characters there and the technology, right? Because they're almost like an advanced civilization. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I agree. I won't read it, but it'll be
I won't read it. I'm not saying I'll read it, Chris, but no, I think it's a pretty cool idea.
I also think this is they were forced into a corner kind of thing because the new movie's coming out and it's going to be a Wakanda movie, not really a Black Panther movie per se. And of course, you want to have a comic on the shelf with the same name as the movie. So, yes, but I hope it does really good. I hope the Black Panther fans are excited.
Yeah, and with that, I guess we'll talk about what we read this week.
All right, everybody strap in.
I didn't read. Nice. I didn't read all of mine. I'll just go over what I didn't get to read yet. Prodigy, Prodigy's back by Mark Miller. It's crazy all the Mark Miller stuff coming out, and I forget, or I don't. It's like not on my radar, so I haven't read that yet. The new Monkey Prince I haven't read yet. Suicide Squad Blaze I haven't read. Black Adam, I'm reading those books, haven't read yet. Batman Beyond #4. And I think that's it. But I did read, so I read Saga, obviously, this week. Saga number 60. This issue is interesting because, it's a really fun issue with Hazel and, Prince Robot. And basically the mom takes them to Chuck E. Cheese's because they make a lot of money. There's an incident with her and a cop on the street where she has a permit to sell on the street, and then she gets recorded by someone, telling the cop off. So I'm sure that's going to come back to bite them in the ass. And then when they go back to their home, it's on fire. And then Hazel kind of has a PTSD moment where she sees her dad and starts freaking out and screaming for him. So I think she's finally grieving. It finally hits her.
Yeah, that's how I took it. Was all these amazing memories with her father are built around that place, and it's gone now. So the last thing she had that connected her to her father is gone, and that was a really touching moment.
Yeah. The other issue I had. Oh, Batman 125, the Chip Zdarsky Batman.
New era begins, Mike.
What a fucking issue this was. This was awesome. I loved it. Yeah. I really did. I loved this issue. Of course, Chris loved it because it's got his favorite villain, Clayface, in it. I thought that was a cool reveal of also Batman in a suit with the cowl and the belt was awesome.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. When he goes, he fights the Penguin, or the Penguin's the villain behind it all, killing all the billionaires in town, and then come to find out it's Clayface. I love that reveal. I thought that was sick. And then Robin, and this is Tim Drake Robin, I believe.
Yes.
Gets shot in the neck. That was interesting. Batman's rushing to save him, and he basically runs him into the emergency room. And they say like, I don't think he's gonna make it through the night. And he's like, the Penguin, he's like questioning the Penguin. The Penguin takes a cyanide capsule because he basically says like, you're the last on my list, and then he like gets the cops to show up at the hospital to like corner Batman. But something else is happening, and this is kind of like, it kind of reminds me of the Colin Kelly, Jackson Lanzig Batman Beyond book right now, because we know this is Batman without the Batcave, without Alfred, like he's on his own. But now we see the Batcave kind of come to life as like an AI robot, and it's called Failsafe Online. So it's like the Batcave generates its own suit of armor kind of thing. And I don't know if that's how you felt when you read it, but
the feeling I got from it, and I try not to get too excited in the first issue of a Batman run because I've been burned before. But I'm going to give it the highest praise I can think of. The feeling I got was the feeling that I had when Scott Snyder took over Batman.
Yeah.
The excitement, the new feeling to it, the kind of the freshness of it, and how he attacks the world of Batman. Like, you can tell there's a deeper thing going on.
Right.
And I really, really love this issue. So
yeah, and the other two I got to read were Dark Crisis and Flashpoint Beyond. So I guess we'll talk Flashpoint Beyond. This issue is pretty great. This is issue number 3. The last issue left off with Superman and Batman. Batman's like, dude, you gotta chill, or Superman's like, you gotta chill, and then he punches him and knocks him out, which is pretty awesome. And then we find out that Superman has a message from the Kryptonians. They're still alive and they're coming to take over Earth, which was an interesting twist. So they're chatting with Poison Ivy. They're like, we need your help to fight them off. And they even have Swamp Thing there too. So Swamp Thing is actually not Alan Scott in this universe. It's Jason Woodrue. And he's basically like, I need to atone for my sins. So he's just like part of a wall. Like, he's not the Swamp Thing we know. He's like almost like punishing himself. And the story there is that they want his help for an invasion, but Batman's basically like, I don't want to help you guys. I'll see you later. But I'm sure that's going to come back at some point.
Yeah.
Right.
I like the way they use Kryptonian technology in this, where they mix it with kind of the Parliament trees.
Yeah.
And they have that giant Jarrell made out of like leaves and vines.
Yeah. Yeah. That was pretty sick.
Good. Yeah. So really great. Yeah. They were like, hey, Batman, you brought us all together to fight against Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like, not realizing that was actually kind of Barry.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And because nobody in this universe really knew.
Yeah. They don't know.
And also, like, Batman's got it on his mind where, like, this place shouldn't exist. Like, nothing here matters. And, so it was a really cool kind of moment of... you would think that Batman, especially Thomas Wayne Batman, would be like, oh, shit, like, we got to do something. But he's of this mind, and he has this other thing going on. So he's just like, I don't want anything to do with this.
He's got his own priorities.
And then Hyper Time's fucked up, too.
Yeah, so Hyper Time, we have the Time Hunters are coming and being like, Batman's screwing up time, but also the side story Reverse Flash appearing and murdered with like a bunch of like time gears in his stomach, and then it says Tick like written in his blood. But he tried to appear at Iris West's home, so he was trying to warn them about something, and someone murdered him. So there's something crazy's going on. I really like this issue.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying this series.
And then Dark Crisis. This is a pretty cool issue. We get Pariah, talking about his past and everything, and his overall plan of he's gonna create a new crisis, and he's gonna teleport the Justice League that he's using to Earth Zero, I guess. And I don't know if he's planning on like wiping it or ruling from Earth Zero or wiping everything else out. And then we get the story that's taking place at Earth Zero in the Titans Tower, where, you know, Deathstroke showed up and started killing all the Titans, or killed Beast Boy. And so there's a huge fight there, and then he gets Nightwing to fight him in front of everybody, which is a cool scene of Deathstroke and Nightwing fighting. And then the reveal of like, okay, just kill me if I'm the one you want. And then Superboy shows up and they start fighting, but like he goes, okay, I was already ready for this. So then Cyborg Superman comes in, and they have a fight. So there's, you know, a lot of fight scenes and stuff like that. And then I didn't know this guy. His name's Warp. I don't know if you saw him, but he has a ridiculous looking helmet. Almost like a shitty villain. I gotta look him up.
Are you talking about the guy that looks like Judge Dredd?
Not really. His like helmet is like round over. So like Deathstroke. Is that who? No. Or maybe it is. Let me see.
Because so crazy quotes in this issue. There's a guy that looks like Judge Dredd. There's a guy that's Spider-Man, but his spider's in the face.
This guy right here that Deathstroke's shouting at is a person, but he has like this tin can thing around his head. And he said, Warp, get the Secret Society out of here. His name's Warp. And I was like, who the hell? I think he just opens portals and that's his job. But his suit is ridiculous. Like, he has a big like metal thing around his head.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, like you almost don't see that it's a person. That's why it looks ridiculous, because he's like shouting at this dude in this like tin can outfit.
I want to see if he's in earlier panels now.
Yeah, I don't see him anywhere. But also, you know, Deathstroke has got Pariah in his head to do some shit. So, and then Black Adam shows up at the end. He's like, okay, I was right. I do need to lead you guys. You need my help. And then we get this whole thing of the Kyle Rayner getting broken out by the Green Lanterns. I didn't know about the new Green Lantern, Joe Moline. She seems pretty cool. I like her hairdo. And then we get all the Green Lanterns saying, are you ready to report to duty? So, yeah. And the Battle of the Emerald Onslaught. So I have a feeling all the Green Lanterns are going to die.
Yeah. That Green Lantern, I read the first 3 or 4 issues of her series, and I did not care for her.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that was only 4 issues of one series. Who knows?
I have a hard time caring for anybody besides like John Stewart.
John Stewart's my boy. Like I mean, that was Green Lantern when I was a kid. So
exactly.
But yeah. So awesome issue. Really liked it.
So I really enjoyed both those issues. That's all I got to this week. So you can talk about what you read.
So one of these is a last week issue, but DC versus Vampire Hunters #1, and then that was all about like Harley Quinn, and her kind of fight against the vampires and how she can get things in and out of Gotham. It was a really good issue. Mm-hmm. And then issue 7, which kind of circled back around to that, but it basically starts the whole vampire of taking over the world, and now people have to find their way around it. Really great issue, really dark. Like, it definitely has taken a turn in this issue. Mm-hmm. And what the vampires are doing with Harley is kind of fucked up. So really, really love that issue. The Ward #2, this is the fantasy ET drama, or ER drama, not ET drama. But so in this one, like, you've got these cave trolls who are having a baby, and they're like 20 feet tall. So they're trying to like deliver this baby, and while that's happening, like, these guys who are monster hunters, but they're like YouTuber monster hunters, come in and like catch them. So they got to deal with that whole thing. And then there's a moment where somebody's eaten by one of those gelatinous slime monsters from D&D.
Okay. Yeah.
And they have to find a way to induce vomiting so it doesn't kill the person that's trying to eat.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's some really good fun stuff in this book.
That's amazing.
But each issue, there's kind of an overarching of like what happened to our main character, because she used to work at the hospital, then she quit. And this is her story of coming back. Okay. So there is some sort of overarching thing there, but for the most part, the book is like one-shot stories of like these cool little like, it's almost like an ER or a Scrubs or, you know, whatever kind of medical show you enjoy.
Yep.
Little Monsters number 5. This one, like, I'm really enjoying this book, but it's very much a micro book where we kind of get the backstory of where this one kid comes from, and she's actually Japanese, and she was born prior to the U.S. Dropping the A-bomb.
Oh.
And she had been turned prior to that too. So she actually lived through, like, she was in Hiroshima when the A-bomb hit and lived.
Okay.
And they tell that, and then they find out that there's more of these humans around. One of them finds them, and he's an adult, he's a skilled hunter, and he's been around, and he kind of traps them in this corner because it starts to turn to daylight, and he's about to kill them, but he informs them like, I'm not going to kill you, but you're going to take me to where you live so I can find the rest of you and kill you. Really great little black and white series I'm enjoying. King Conan number 6, which is the final issue. They make it from the island, if you didn't see that coming. But there's this cool moment of like, Conan's son is now king, so he's King Conan II.
Oh, okay.
And he thinks his father's dead, so he has kind of this eulogy to his father. And in that moment, it flips over to his father and how he survives this like ridiculous. They blow up the island, basically, sink it down. They kill the priestess, and he's like left on a raft in the middle of nowhere. But he finds a way to like make a boat and go off on another adventure. It was a really fun series. 6-issue Old Man Conan story. Really enjoyed it. Batman Beyond New Year number 4. Basically, Batman figures out the secret to what this like the sword person is. I forget.
Oh, okay.
Now,
yeah,
but he kind of figures out the secret of that.
Okay,
and it's a lot of him like fighting against Neo Gotham and fighting the fact that he doesn't have a suit and all this. Really great issue, but the kind of the twist of how they did that character is really cool, so I don't want to spoil that. Knights of the Fifth Dimension number 1.
Nice.
So I showed you I got like the trade that's already that the podcast did. So I'm getting the single issues too. So I'm reading the single issues, but this is basically Jack Kirby like figure creates this universe of characters, and what he really is this he's given the power by some other dimensional figure to overlook this universe and like ensure its safety through these characters that he's created, air quotes. And it's all about like he took on a student with him to help him with these things, and now that student has to take over and become that person. Okay. And the student's kind of like a pick your image creator from the 90s. Like he's like a little rock and roll, like does drugs and shit, and like it's kind of like fuck the system, but
awesome.
But he's got to go back to the big publisher to like keep drawing his book and all this. Really great art. I like they go back and forth between the comic world and the real world, and they actually change the coloring style for it too. So like the coloring style for the comic world is like old school comics.
Cool.
It's really cool.
Awesome.
I highly recommend it, especially for anyone that's a comic fan, because it's like right up all of our alleys.
Nice.
Last 2 are Cap centric. So Avengers Forever number 7. So I caught up on Avengers recently, and this issue came out, and basically the Avengers are trying to create this multiversal Avengers team. And in this issue, they decide they have to have more Captain Americas on the team because Cap's rules. And they get these 4 Captain Americas together. One that looks kind of like us, Mike, like kind of a nerd who sits in his basement too much. And
hey, that's
I
me.
Said us. I said us.
They finally put me in a comic.
They get one who kind of looks like a 50s Superman, like that kind of like that slicked over hair, or not even Superman, Clark Kent, slicked over Clark hair, Kent. Like kind of slunched over. Yeah. And then they have one that's a dog.
Okay.
And then this other one that's like this mysterious figure that you don't see until the end of the issue. And they end up finding out that everybody's name is Steve, and eventually they end up finding everybody's name is Steve Rogers. And then they find out there's a fifth one of them in there too. And he's like this old hippie, Steve Rogers, which is my favorite one. Because at one point, like they're trying to leave this building, and there's something there stopping them from leaving. And he keeps screaming like these things as he runs out the building. Like one of the times he's like, "You can't stop me. I'm going to fight the military industrial complex." And he like fights these robots and like shit like that.
Yeah.
Hence why he's my favorite Steve.
That's awesome.
So long story short, you end up finding out that it's the Multiverse Avengers created this thing to test the Steve Rogers to see who was the best of them. And they end up finding out that they're all the best because it's Steve Rogers. But they're able to get the last one that you don't see in the back. You end up finding out that he's called Weapon Rogers.
Oh boy.
So if anyone's been following the Weapon X stuff in recent comics, like they've basically made Steve one of the weapons along the line. And one of them is Nuke, and so on and so forth. So he's basically a version of Steve that's also got the Nuke face paint, but then you end up finding out, too, that he's got Wolverine claws.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So a really great issue. Really recommend Avengers recently. Really good. And then Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty #2. Another really good issue. So Steve, like... There's some backstory of like he's hanging out with his friends and stuff in this new town or this new area he's living. But then there's like the important stuff, the fight scene. And he goes to this place and he ends up fighting these things that look familiar but are different at the same time. And he ends up finding out that it's like people from different factions that he's dealt with in his past. So some of them are ex-Hydra, some of them are ex-AIM, and then some of them are even ex-SHIELD. And as he's fighting them and going through, he sees this like UFO like thing flying above him that's shaped like his shield, and even has like the outlook of his shield in it. And he's trying to figure out what it is. It has something to do with like what happened in the last issue.
Okay.
And long story short, doesn't find out. And then we have like a B story of Bucky. He ends up going to this like underground gambling ring as he's trying to figure out what he's going on. And he walks in and is just a complete dick to everybody. And then it's like looks at the dealer and goes like, has like an argument with her because she's like, you can't be doing this, you know, no names, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't have time for this. So I need you to drop the act and come help me and Steve. Isn't that right, Peggy? And it's Peggy Carter underneath it.
Oh, okay.
That was a great reveal at the end. Yeah. I feel much higher on this issue than I did the last one. I really enjoyed everything in this one.
Good. Awesome.
So,
yeah.
Mike, that's everything I read this week. So where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you and or the show?
You can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter and the show at Fortress Comics _on Twitter. Also at FortressComicNews.com. Remember, everybody, to check out the new merch, the TeePublic store. Really happy how those came out. So please check that out. Also, like, subscribe, share, comment down below on the YouTube. And then 5-star reviews on a podcatcher you use. And if you want to go the extra mile, Patreon at patreon.com/FortressComics. So thank you all so much for listening and watching this week. And we will see you all here next week.
Bye-bye.